In Swift, every protocol requirement must have an implementation. If you don't provide one explicitly, then it must be present in a protocol extension. And if the compiler doesn't find any implementation, it simply won't build the code. On the other hand, Objective-C offers support for truly optional methods. When you declare a protocol, its symbols are treated as required by default. But protocol declarations can also have this optional section. Everything below it is optional to implement, and everything above is required. In my object, I've implemented the required methods but skipped the optional one. What do you think would happen when another Objective-C component calls it? Well, if you work with the language, you know that it has one answer to pretty much any problem. A runtime exception, in other words a crash. Calls to optional methods which aren't implemented will compile just fine. But when these lines are executed at runtime, your app will crash. To avoid runtime exceptions, you have to manually check if the method is available at runtime. For that, you use the responseToSelector method. Of course, it's hard to call this solution elegant, but at least it's better than a crash. Let's assume that in another update, I replace this implementation with a Swift version. This won't solve every problem completely, because the objects still interact through the original Objective-C protocol. But despite that, Swift can make this code much nicer and safer. Swift treats optional protocol methods as optional closures, and you can use them just like any other optional object. If you want to call such a closure, you have to unwrap it. This can be done explicitly or in line. So now I can be pretty certain that even if the optional method is not implemented, the app will handle this scenario just fine.